The Quad summit ended 24 hours back. We brought you the highlights yesterday. The leaders met, they talked about China, but once again, they hesitated in naming it. China, though, has no such hesitations. No concept of restraint, no room for ambiguity. China is drawing clear battle lines. It kept provoking the Quad as Tokyo prepared for and hosted this summit. China was in action throughout. On Sunday, that's 3 days ago, 2 Chinese frigates were dispatched. They were spotted passing through the Tsushima Strait. This is in southwest Japan. The next day, that is Monday, a Chinese missile destroyer showed up. It sailed between Okinawa and Miyako before heading out to the Pacific Ocean. Yesterday, China escalated things further. China and Russia held a drill right when the Quad leaders were holding their summit, and they made no effort to hide their activities. On the contrary, they released pictures. Some of them are on your screen. They were released by the Russian Defense Ministry. Moscow sent a message along with it.
In accordance with the military cooperation plan for 2022, today the Russian Aerospace Forces and the Air Forces of the People's Liberation Army of China conducted joint air patrols in the Asia-Pacific region. Air group consisting of Russian strategic missile carriers, Tu-95MC, and Chinese Xi'an 6H strategic bombers carried out their patrols over the waters of the Sea of Japan and the East China Sea.
Joint air patrols, Russian strategic missile carriers, Chinese strategic bombers, these are the kind of weapons that were used. China says it was a regular military drill. But the timing leaves little to imagination. This was a show of force. The first China-Russia military drill since the war in Ukraine. Reports say there were 6 warplanes involved, 2 Chinese and 4 Russians. The bombers flew into the Japanese and South Korean air defense zone. Now, what's an air defense zone? It is kind of a warning system. It stretches beyond the official airspace of a country. Think of it like a border for the skies. Once any alien aircraft enters the air defense zone of a country, it must identify itself. Else, it can be assumed that the planes are coming in to attack. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Chinese and Russian planes flew into the air defense zone of Japan and South Korea. It was a long flight. They flew over these 3 areas, the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, and the Pacific Ocean near Japan. And they did so without warning and during the Quad summit. Japan and South Korea scrambled their own fighters in response. They feared the planes were hostile. Both Japan and South Korea have called the Russia-China drills a provocation. In fact, Japan says this exercise was more provocative than any other drill in the past. As it turned out, the planes left without incident, but the message had been delivered. America issued an assessment this morning.
The PRC and Russia did conduct a joint military patrol involving their strategic bombers on May 24th. This exercise was likely planned well in advance by both countries, and Beijing's decision to cooperate with Moscow in this way, amid Russia's further invasion of Ukraine and the Kremlin's dangerous nuclear rhetoric, demonstrates the quote-unquote no-limits partnerships that they talked about in their joint communique is quite alive and well.
There are 3 clear takeaways, they say. Number 1, the drills were planned in advance. Number 2, they were executed to disrupt the Quad. And number 3, China's relationship with Russia is getting stronger. Now, Beijing is largely complying with the economic sanctions against Moscow, but it is stepping up its diplomatic and military support. For the region, it only means bad news. Tensions have escalated, especially in and around Japan. The Chinese military has been making its presence felt. A few weeks back, a Chinese aircraft carrier came close to Japan. Planes from the same warship conducted over 300 sorties. This is what the Japanese defense minister has said. The Chinese military, too, has held a series of drills. They were near Japan and Taiwan. Now, Russia and China have conducted a joint drill. The war in Ukraine has brought these countries closer. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping could escalate their campaign against the West in the coming days. The Quad should be prepared for more such provocations. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.